All right, breaking news right now. This oversight committee hearing has been going on for quite some time. Let's listen back in. Here's Jim Jordan.
Make as a country on who's going to lead us. That's where this. So, do we need to change Section 230? It's all about the legislative purposes. Supreme Court's been clear. That's where we got to focus. And I would just argue fundamentally it's about the First Amendment. That the idea that they were suppressing critical information that the country should have had access to, and they did it literally 15 days before. And if you tell me what in the report that Mr. Comer and the team has put together is Russian disinformation, that was all BS, and everyone knows it was BS, and frankly should have known it at the time, and I think did know it at the time, but did it anyway. So that's the legislative purpose that we got to get to. So, but we don't know where that's going to go. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, some Republicans have questioned the timing of this. Why make this your very first visible order of business, investigating President Biden?
If you look at the commitment to America, there were 4 tenets of that. The fourth was to hold this administration accountable. That's the job of the Oversight Committee. I know some in the media have said, well, this is what the Republicans, their whole sole focus is. This is the focus of the Oversight Committee. Now, I know Kevin said the first legislation we're going to vote on is to repeal the 87,000 IRS agents, to reduce the size of the government, because that's tackling inflation. We have inflation because the Democrats have spent too much money. So we have a legislative agenda, and we're focused on a lot of things in Congress. But from the Oversight Committee, we're in charge of investigations. We feel that this is of the utmost importance.
And to follow up, do you expect cooperation from the Biden administration and when it comes to the Justice Department, who's also investigating Hunter Biden? If the DOJ doesn't cooperate, what means do you have at your disposal right now to get the information that they've uncovered on him?
So, just on cooperation. Well, first, they haven't responded to any of the correspondence, any of the letters, any of the inquiries that came from Ranking Member Comer. Second, they changed the suspicious activity report process and protocol. And third, they've now set up a committee, according to reporter, I don't know, maybe they're in this room, the report in Politico, that said, oh, they set up a committee to attack us and to come after us. So, I don't know, you guess. They're probably not gonna work with this too well, because they certainly haven't. They've done things that really are unprecedented, changing the SARS and setting up I mean, that's pretty unprecedented.
Should President Biden be forced to come and testify?
Look, I would say one other thing. One of the most important things we can, I guess I've said it a couple times, one of the most important things we can do is do the work that needs to be done so that we can hopefully have a Justice Department that doesn't operate in a political fashion. That's my focus. I think it's everyone's focus. So I think that's pretty darn important to the American people.
Mr. George, just a quick follow-up question on that particular point. There's Maine Justice, and then there's Mr. Weiss in Delaware, who, as you know, was appointed by President Trump and initiated this investigation under the previous administration. Just generally, because some of these suggestions that have been made in terms of the investigation moving towards President Biden have not apparently, we haven't uncovered any evidence that that is currently being discussed in front of the grand jury in Delaware or in that particular office. Do you have confidence, forget the larger question of the Biden Justice Department, do you have confidence that Mr. Weiss is doing a thorough job in his investigation?
All I'm going to say is there shouldn't be politics anywhere. It should be driven by the facts, the law, the Constitution. We've had over 14 whistleblowers come talk to us. Every single one has said, at the highest levels of the Justice Department here in D.C., the Washington field office and in the Justice Department here in D.C., that is where the politics are involved. That is where the political decisions are being made. We have a concern with that. That's what we're focused on.
Do you have any, just to quickly follow on my follow-up, do you have any reason to believe that Maine Justice is attempting to influence the investigation?
All I know is what the whistleblowers have told our office. That's what we're focused on.
And I'll wrap it up with this. We'll all be available throughout the day for questions. I realize that congressional oversight doesn't have a lot of credibility in Washington. I blame Adam Schiff for that. We're going to change that. We're not going to talk about anything unless we have evidence. And that's how I started this out. You're going to be presented with something you haven't been used to over the past 4 years, evidence. And we believe that this is of the utmost importance. I've been watching the panels on CNN, everywhere else, where they say, oh, why are Republicans investigating Hunter Biden? Why are we wasting time doing this? This is an investigation of Joe Biden. I think we've laid out the evidence as to why we feel it's important. and we're going to move forward with that. We're gonna do a lot of investigations, we're gonna do a lot of probing. We're focused on waste, fraud, and abuse. There's no shortage of that in this federal government, let me assure you that. And that's gonna be a priority for this committee. Every member of this committee is gonna have priorities in areas where they're focused on in the next Congress. And we're gonna try to restore credibility to congressional investigations, and we're gonna try to get the backs of the taxpayers, because the taxpayers are the one that's taking it on the chin. Catherine, I'll end with you.
What do you make of the fact that the U.S. Attorney in Delaware has been investigating Hunter Biden and his financial activities for 4 years, and yet no charges have been brought?
I'll say that, and then Jim can end with that. Look, the more you look into Hunter Biden, the more bad things pop up. I don't know if that's the situation. I don't know if he's getting resistance at the Department of Justice. From what I've heard, they're looking into the tax evasion. There's no question he's evaded taxes. That's why he got the Hollywood lawyer to loan him $2 million to try to get caught up with the IRS on his tax bill. But at the end of the day, we're focused on some things that I think every American needs answers to. And one thing that I've learned from talking to a lot of you off the scene here is that I don't think a lot of people realize the evidence that's already out there pertaining to Hunter Biden. And I don't think anybody realized that Joe Biden is in fact involved in a lot of these. He was in fact involved in a lot of these. So the goal from this press conference is to show you, number one, this is an investigation of Joe Biden. We're focused on the bank records. We're very specifically focused on the bank records and the bank violations. And remember, Congress used to have access to the bank violations until Joe Biden changed the rules, which that in itself should be a front page story above the fold. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's pretty odd that he would change the rules to do that. And we laid out why we think it's important. So Jim can follow up.
Fine.
Thank you.